I feel angry though right now towards this person about my cat. And until I do see a boo, which we don't know, I mean, a boo could come right into the house and then, okay, fine, this guy accidentally let my cat out, which was an accident. Murdering him wasn't an accident though. So
this is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
All right, welcome to Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with my co-host Rachel, and we've got a couple different topics here today. A lot of it we want to talk about dealing with difficult situations and staying sober, and like stress comes into our lives on a daily basis. Sometimes days are worse than others, and trying to figure out, how Rachel is going on 18 months. I'm going on a year here in a few days, and we've both experienced a lot of random stuff the last during those periods. And, sometimes it does take a little effort to not think about going to the bottle or whatever our drugs of choice were.
yep.
And I think right now Rachel's been going through a little something that she's going to share with us, and we'll kind of talk about how we're going to navigate all that.
Yes. So I do want to start off with the past couple of months has been a huge challenge for me. And I am happy to say that my sobriety is not actually hindered due to these events because I know what resources to take. I know to call people. I know to reach out. I know to be moving my body and meditate and do the right things. So, what I'm going to share with everybody is multiple crazy events. So, sit still because it's a fucking bumpy ass ride. So, June of this year, I lost my mother in law who had pulmonary fibrosis. It wasn't unexpected, but it was. She was sick for a while. So I had to deal with not only grieving somebody who was like a mother to me with my mother already being dead, but holding my fiance's hand through grief. And I knew drinking was not an option. And she told me on her deathbed that she was proud of me. So I want to let anybody know out there that is going through grief, during sobriety, that that person who's passing away or who passed away wouldn't want to see you intoxicated or hurting yourself because they loved you. So June happened to me and I lost my mother-in-law, and I've been helping my fiance through the grieving process because, I lost my own mom when I was 16. But right now, my cat that I have had since he was 2 days old, Abu, got let out on accident while I was out of town this weekend. And I have a possibility that he actually was murdered by my cat sitter, animal sitter. So, yeah, he is in jail for aggravated assault as of last night. We should have probably picked better and not trusted so easily. But again, that is not something that I'm going to drink over because we don't know if Abu, my cat, did get murdered, and he could come walking through my door right now. And if I was drunk, I wouldn't even notice. So I would prefer to be sober through this. But he possibly got murdered. My neighbor heard him scream Saturday night in pain and then saw the person who was babysitting my pets walk out with a garbage bag. So there's no evidence because he got arrested last night for aggravated assault battery.
Crazy. So like backtracking just a teeny bit, like back to uh first the grieving part of losing your mother, your in-law. Was the toughest part, it was being extremely close to the in-law yourself, or was it seeing your significant other go through a ton of pain? Which one was affecting you the most, do you think?
That's a good question, Ryan. For
Yeah.
me, I think actually because it happened ironically, it happened on my mom's death anniversary. So my mother-in-law landed on June 5th, going into the 6th. She landed in the ICU to her condition that went to her heart. June 6th is my mother's death anniversary of 2008. So what I had to kind of do is shut off, or at least I did mentally. I shut off like any type of emotion and I just went straight into like, there's no time right now to drink. There's no time to cry. There's no time to really feel. You kind of just got to do. And I have to be there for John. And
Yeah.
it hurt more to see him grieve for sure. And I don't know if have you gone through any type of grief in sobriety?
In sobriety, I haven't directly gone through grief as far as losing somebody since I've been sober, but I'll admit to the fact that which I think is common amongst a lot of people who are addicts and alcoholics, which I didn't process a lot of my grief until I got sober. So I'm a little delayed on everything just because I drank my ass through a lot of loss the years leading up to my sobriety, which one of the big ones was losing my sister to a fentanyl overdose 3 years ago. And she and I were like best friends. We talked every single day. And, from the night I found out that she passed away up until even now, it was really hard for me to break down. Like there were times when I was drinking my ass off and on a bender where I would break down and start
Yeah.
crying by myself and stuff. But I can't count that as like real emotions in some ways, just because I don't think I was really feeling it.
Yeah.
So when I got to treatment and started really addressing some of these things sober, it got tough. And then I also had to face the fact that I had lost one of my best friends, been one of my closest friends for 10 years. He took a shotgun to his head, like a year and a half ago. So that was not too long before I got sober. And he had asked me, both of those situations where I almost think they were both suicides in a sense. Obviously, my friend committed suicide, but my sister, I just had a feeling she was passively suicidal
Yeah.
because I think she knew that she wouldn't be able to handle such a lethal dose of fentanyl after being sober for 6 months. So it was
Wow.
her first dose in 6 months. And she probably was just like, oh, I can handle it, or I'm just going to do this to pass away. And I'll never know.
Yeah.
But I could tell by the sadness in her eyes and a lot of the conversations we had leading up to it that she was fighting some demons that not even I could figure out. So
Right.
when I lost both, when I lost both of them, I didn't grieve. I drank through it. And then when I got to treatment, I started really facing these realities. And I looked back, I'm like, my sister, asked me for money to send her money the day before she overdosed. So I always thought maybe that money went to that overdose, and I felt some guilt for that. And then a couple days before my buddy Mark had killed himself, he had asked me if he could come out to my town where I live now and visit me to get a little break from whatever chaos was going on in his life. And I had told him, no, I can't. I can't get the time off work, and I want to be able to have free time if you come over, but I'll get back to you. I didn't know he was, in a very dark spot at the time. So there was mostly guilt for a long time, and I drank through it. And then once I got to treatment, I started to be forced to face these things head on. That didn't mean I really dealt with it perfectly. I didn't cry it out or anything, but I started to look at it like, okay, well, these things aren't my fault. They're not in my control, and I've lost these people. So how can I use this as motivation to stay stronger? How can I use my sister's death as motivation to take my sobriety seriously?
Yeah.
And I started to use it as kind of just a way to make myself stronger. I don't know if that's been the case with you too.
Some very ironic that you say that because my mom passed away of overdose and we got in a very verbal, actually almost physical altercation, actually, because she was just so strung out and she wasn't allowed to be at my house because she would go through my dad's medicine cabinet and my dad wasn't home. So I was like, well, come over. I want to hang out with my mom. She went through his medicine cabinet, got fucked up. So I was like, yo, you gotta go before dad comes. And she was fighting me. So I physically pushed her out of the house. And that was the last time I saw my mother and spoke to her. So I am fighting through the guilt to
Gosh.
this day. But I get what you're
Yeah.
saying in sobriety, and that's probably why I'm tearing up and getting choked up now, because in sobriety, you literally you have to learn how to go through everything naturally, because I became an addict a few months to a year after my mom passed away. So you have to think of it. I was 16, 17 years old. Now I'm like, all right, I'm never going to process it. So now I'm learning how to
And do you
process
think
it.
and do you think it was just, like, really tough on you and I, like, when you think about the not getting closure part?
It still is.
Like, as far as yeah, that's because you didn't feel like you had that perfect conversation to say goodbye to somebody because you didn't know they were gonna pass away, and you, like, think back, "Oh, I could have said this differently," or, "I could have avoided that argument," and it's like, oh, that wears on you after a while.
For me, I always said up until semi recently, because I do go to therapy, I'm working on that. I do EMDR myself, but which is for PTSD and trauma. For anybody who is listening, it's a form of therapy. It kind of taps into your trauma. And it's pretty brutal, but you got to tap into the trauma and get back to it in order to actually get through it, if that makes any sense. But, yeah, to me, I always have said several times, "Did she take that extra pill on purpose because I told her I didn't wanna talk to her?" Like, and that's where you gotta kinda, or at least I gotta say, "You know what? No." Like, she decided to put that pill or those pills in her body. She chose to do that. You didn't make her do that.
Yeah, you do have to start, like, looking at all the facts and look at about, I was her daughter, I was 17. I mean, how much control did you really have of the decisions she was making? I mean, so you gotta look back at it now. Only decisions we do have control over what we're doing now. And I think, like, losing my sister was tough. Kind of like losing your mother was difficult. Do you think we use some of that stuff as motivation to stay sober now because we realize the outcomes of it and how if we died, what how many people it would affect?
Well, yeah, one, I'm a mother myself, so I can never imagine, and I cringe sometimes thinking of situations I have put myself while being a mother, still drinking and driving, still drinking and driving with him in the car, or even just putting myself in situations, because I hung out with a pretty bad crowd sometimes. I wasn't around the best people, the safest people. It's to the point that if I needed to call somebody, I could call somebody. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, like, you can't act like that. You got to get through it. You got to go to therapy, but you have to remember it's not your fault. And you need to, I'm just a little stuck right now. You need to just make sure you focus on yourself and you get better, because using is not going to help. Like, it's just not going to help.
Yeah, it's temporary relief. I don't know who I was talking about the other day. Actually, a lot of people I've been talking to recently when I'm talking about, like, we're going through these stressful situations. Our anxiety is like peaking and we don't know what to do. And that thought sometimes goes through our head where, like, maybe I'm not going to go to a store and buy a bottle, but you think about, like, this mental, like, imagining that rush, that relaxing rush you'd get if I chugged a half a fifth of vodka right now. I'm like, all the pain would go away.
Yeah.
But in, like, a few hours, all of a sudden it would all come back tenfold. And it's not worth it.
Yeah. Like, literally, with
Yeah.
what's going on with my cat right now, I I don't have the desire to drink, and this could be for many reasons. One, I have resources. I've contacted people through this. I'm not just sitting in my room with a bottle, like, and I'm actually taking action, but I could easily just go grab some wine and just get obliterated to numb myself. But the reality, and medically, all that's going to happen is I will maybe feel a little warm and fuzzy for 15, 20 minutes, and then it's just going to go downhill. And I'll be crying probably the whole time.
Do you recall any time that you've gone through anything in the last year and a half where you were actually, like, almost en route to go buy some alcohol? Have you ever gotten that close?
Not, damn, not, I think in early, so, well, actually, yeah, not, I think in early sobriety, I had a slip up. In early sobriety,
Okay.
yes. So I was a couple months in. I'm going on a year and a half, which feels like forever. I was about 3 or 4 months in, and I did drive and I did pick up. So And I didn't say to myself, and I'm not saying it, everybody's journey is different. I don't do the AA route personally. It didn't work out for me because my relapse actually happened from somebody that I made friends with in AA. So I've been a little bit bitter and I've been open minded to go back. But I made a friend in AA who introduced me back to alcohol in early sobriety. And that made me, yeah, I was upset. And then I was like, you could have two IPAs, Rachel. Like you've been sober for the longest in your life. Those two IPAs turned into
Yeah.
literally me having to I had to be resuscitated by John.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah, scary. I mean, I never got to the point where like in the last 360 days, technically, if I'm being specific, never really got close. There was a time where I got into my Jeep and I started driving around really, really erratically, which is something I would generally do if I was about to go race to the liquor store. And I was doing it erratically, but I drove the other direction this time around
huh.
until I calmed down, which I got lucky. And by the time I did calm down, I had called like 4 or 5 people that I knew from AA actually, and I never thought that would work, but I
Yeah.
had finally tried it, and everybody picked up the phone and everybody kind of talked me through it, and because I realized the last time I had relapsed, I never tried that. I had already been a member of AA for 3 months. I was sober for 3 months. And instead of calling people when I started to get down a dark spot and stop going to meetings, all of a sudden I just, I turned my phone off instead. So this time I took a different route. I'm like, well, maybe these people actually will listen to me, or maybe somebody actually will hear me out while I'm at my worst. And I was on the phone just ranting and ranting
Yeah.
and ranting and saying shit that didn't even make any
Yeah.
sense. And I don't even remember what it was about at this point because I was seeing red.
Well, you made a
And
point right
I
there.
ended up not buying a bottle, but
Which is awesome,
yeah,
and you made a point though, like you made a point actually right there by saying, "I don't even know why," like, what I was rambling on about. Think about that for a second though. You would have had a drink and relapsed and then not really had I'm not saying there's ever, like, a reason to drink, but was there a reason? Because you don't remember, you know what I mean? But
exactly.
yes,
We never remember.
and you never remember why. I mean, for me, it was either there was no reason, there was always just why not. But I mean, back to because I did go kind of on a spiral when you asked me this question. Not only am I a mother myself and I want to stay sober so Gabriel, my son, doesn't, lose out on having his mom, I am doing this for my
Yeah,
mom. I am also doing this to be her voice. She could not get sober. My mom went to rehabs. I think my mom, I could be wrong, my dad listens to all my episodes 3 or 4 times or just denied it. My mom was really good at manipulating doctors, and back then they didn't have, the device to check if she's been pharmacy hopping. But I'm doing this to be her voice. Alcohol wasn't her drug of choice. Pills were, all different forms of it, benzos and painkillers, but I I don't wanna black out anymore. I missed 10 years of my son's life. Like, I wanna be present for my son. I wanna feel good. I wanna come up in life. I went to my first sober concert, what was it, in August? That was a huge experience.
awesome.
Yeah, I saw The Weeknd sober,
Yeah,
and you know what?
that would be badass.
You know what? Rachel on Xanax loved a good blunt and Xanax and listened to The Weeknd. And now
Yeah,
I'm sober, still a huge fan of him. And I got to see him. And I remember every minute of that concert. And I'm grateful for that. Like, and I'm getting choked up because
that's awesome.
I really do love The Weeknd though. So seeing him,
That's so cool. Like you get to see something you
yeah,
truly enjoy, and you get to enjoy it sober, and then you get to have the memories to go
yes.
with it as souvenirs.
I was in the middle, like,
That's
I
awesome.
was in the middle of those aisles at the stadium, dancing my ass off, completely alone, sober. I did not need a friend to do that. I felt I was just in my element. And that's also something you need to do in sobriety. You find your element. You don't know who the fuck you are in the beginning, but you start finding out who you are a little farther on. Just give it more time. You're not going to find out who you are right away. But The Weeknd always stuck by.
Well, that was bringing me to my. That's awesome. Like that was bringing me to another topic that I wanted to discuss with you. Was You and I have both had social events lately to attend, sometimes involving family, sometimes involving, scenarios that we would usually have been drinking, like concerts and
Yeah.
stuff. I think it needs to be discussed more about how we handle those situations sober now and how we go into them with the right mindset. Do we have escape plans? Like, how do you go about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, I just went to my first sober wedding in my hometown, Boston. First time being there sober since I was 15 years old, too. So I was nervous as hell to even go. I wasn't even nervous about the flight. I was just literally, or the airport. I was nervous about being in Massachusetts around my huge, loud family to dance, to go to a wedding. And then I get there and then I see my huge Irish family dancing and I see their smiles on their face and I see my mom in almost each one of those people. So, I was present. I was present and it was beautiful. And not only that, but a large amount of people came up to me and told me they were proud of me. These are people who saw me at a
That's
dark
awesome.
yeah, they saw me in nasty times, around the time my addiction really picked up actually when my mom passed away. All these people have seen such a drunk version of me. So to hear 6 plus
So
people
cool.
tell me that they see a change and that they're proud of me was freaking beautiful, and I know you went to a wedding recently too.
I did, yeah. And that just reminds me, I had kind of the similar reaction and outcome as you because I recall when I was talking to you before you went to your wedding, I think I probably told you myself before I went to the one I went to that we were kind of worried about it, or kind of stressing, that we're going into like a lion's den basically. And both of us came out saying, people actually were proud of us and like it actually wasn't as bad as we thought. And that's the best part about it is when I went to mine, I was, I knew I was going into a atmosphere with some recovering alcoholics, but also a lot of people that still actively drank. And I wasn't sure how I was going to respond to that or if it was going to bug me, but it really didn't. I ignored most of the people that were getting hammered. And even if I talked to them, I was like, oh, it's just a reminder that I don't really need to
Oh
be
yeah.
that way anymore. And I'm not that person anymore, but they can to each their own, they're
Oh
having
yeah.
fun, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the people that really like see the change in you, they can just tell on your face, people that I didn't even know were that like paying attention to the fact that I was sober or like paying attention to my progress the last year came up to me and they're just like, wow, I'm so proud of you. Like I heard about the podcast
Yeah.
and this and that. I'm like, I didn't even know you knew about the
I
podcast.
got that too.
And I was just like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty
Actually got
cool.
that
And like,
too.
I'm like, it's so cool that people are happy for us and they're not saying, oh, you just have a drink or come on, you're much more fun if you drank. Like I
Yeah.
was expecting some of that and I didn't have any of that. And like cousins were so happy, my aunts and uncles,
Yeah.
and it was so nice to just be embraced and made me more proud to be sober. I'm like, hell yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, that's exactly how I
So
literally
like
word for word, that's how I felt, like, even if I saw somebody slurring their words, I was like, "Damn," like you said, "To each their own," but damn, that, like, used to be me. Like, I would just but no, it was so good to
yeah, I
hear
almost
that, like, that, "Oh, wow, you're doing great, Rachel," or, "Wow, you look great." Actually, one of my uncles had to do a triple take, not a double take, a triple take at me. He didn't know who I was, and he was like,
really,
"Oh my god, Rachel," and he went running up to me and hugged me. So, um,
it's awesome.
yeah, your face changes when you're drinking too. I mean, your eyes change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was thinking about the difference of going to something now, being further in sobriety than I was, say, the first 3 months I was sober before I had relapsed last year. I have a confession that I'll make on the podcast of something I haven't talked about publicly, but I went to a wedding about not this past June, but the June before, and it was during the time that I was 90 days sober, and I had actually got so much anxiety beforehand that I didn't tell anybody. But in order to mentally have this like crutch, somehow my out of body experience, which walked me all the way to the mini mart next to the hotel, which my mother and I were sharing the hotel at the time. And I didn't tell, nobody knows about this, but not even people in AA have I shared this with. But I actually went and bought two 24-ounce cans, and a juice box of wine. Those are the three things that were always my safety net. And I went and hid them in the bushes in the parking lot just to know they were there the entire weekend. And I didn't drink them, but the fact that they were there gave me some kind of emotional security that I needed at the time to get through it. That way I knew if I got stressed out, I had an option and I wouldn't be having a panic attack because I had alcohol nearby. Then I was still in a pretty weak state at the time, so that's what I needed, and I don't recommend that to anybody. But I'm just happy that I didn't need that kind of vice now. Where this time around, it was like, okay, well, I just got through it, and I told myself like, if anything makes us uncomfortable, we can just literally walk away,
Yeah.
and nobody can stop us. So,
Yeah. For me,
and that's the best part.
that's a crazy story, and thank you for sharing that. I'm like thinking, I'm envisioning you doing that, like hiding it in a bush myself. Like holy shit, I've never put it in a bush.
I probably looked like a crazy bum. Yeah, outside of I don't know if it was a Holiday Inn or what, Best Western or something, and just like running out into the bushes and just being trying to be all discreet, like some kind of crazy, like like
I
some
feel
like I'm
that.
being a bum or something. And I'm like, I probably looked like a weirdo, but I was like, I do whatever I can to have my alcohol nearby in case I relapse. But then I did relapse, like, I don't know, 3 weeks to a month later. So that was pretty much
Premeditated.
the start of my emotional relapse, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
exactly.
I've said
That's
this
where it got
before.
really bad after that.
Yeah. It's relapses to me are 100% premeditated in my
Yep.
mind. At
And
least,
the stuff that I relapsed with were those cans and bottles. I kept those in my suitcase, brought them home because, yeah, me and my crazy ass went back to the bushes and packed them and brought them back just to know, I don't want to leave them in the bushes.
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe this is a good thing. And I drank those when I relapsed, and that started a month and a half of hell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but that was right before you decided to finally like, I'm done, or were you just like,
Yeah.
that was okay. So that was the relapse when you were like,
That was that
okay,
was right before. That was the beginning of my last relapse. Those were the exact cans and bottles that started my relapse. And it went on. It didn't even start slowly. It went from 0 to like 100 within 48 hours, and I was gone. I stopped going to meetings altogether. I turned my phone on silent, do not disturb. Nobody could reach me. Nobody could come to my room. Nobody could come to my door. I was ordering delivery alcohol. I maybe got in my car like 2 or 3 times that month. And next thing you know, I just was having seizures about a month and a half later and went to the hospital. And that's where I like threw in the towel, and I'm like,
yeah,
take me to rehab. I like almost begged to go.
yeah. I mean,
That was hell.
I didn't go to rehab myself. I didn't think it was an option, so I was just like, you're gonna raw dog sobriety. So I did that, and
Raw dog sobriety.
I raw
That's
dogged the
funny.
shit out of that. But I don't
Yeah, no
advise that.
strapping up for this one.
I do not advise that anybody listening do not raw dog sobriety. Get the medical attention that you need because there's so many things that could happen to you medically, seizures being one of them. That didn't happen to me. I had insomnia really bad. I actually still struggle with a form of insomnia. I'm working through that, but drinking,
Sam.
when I quit it, when I stopped drinking, I had it to the point, like, I think I would get like 2 or 3 hours a night because I would wake up and I couldn't sleep for about 3 weeks. So, but um, the one who helped me through that is Abu, my cat. So he's just not here right now, and maybe that motherfucker's watching me search for him and he's just too scared to run up the stairs. Or maybe he did get hurt and he's gone forever. I don't know. We won't know.
I hope it's just he's being a cat and going on a little adventure, and he still remembers the scent of your place, and he's gonna come back in a few days or a week and just be like, hey, feed me. That's what's happened to me in the past, and I'm hoping that's the case. But I think this is just another example of, you know, whatever our higher power is throwing obstacles in our way and saying, you know what, you can handle this regardless of what's going to happen.
Yeah,
And
and
it's a test. It's a
huge
test,
one.
and
It's
you're
a huge
handling it
one.
really well.
I'm trying to handle it very well. I feel so upset. Like I said, he literally helped me through my withdrawals. I would have insomnia and he always sleeps by my feet. And I would just sit up and drag him like a little, stuffed animal and put him on my chest. And he would just lay back, literally paws back and everything, and just purr very hard. And he would lay there for a long time. And he did it for 3, 4 weeks straight. And Boo's my little buddy. So animals really are the best.
Yeah, I know. They are the best. I mean, God, if my dog was there with me during, all of my drinking, all of my relapses, all saw me at my worst, and he, sat there and would stare at me with this sad face, being like, Dad, you're not walking me anymore, and I just like almost would like start crying to him, and I would like bury my face on him and
Oh,
just be
yeah.
like, I'm so sorry, like, because you treat them like they're, like family, and
Yeah.
they're so unconditionally loving, and it's really hard when I couldn't imagine, losing a pet or have one, you know, disappear like yours is right now. But I hope it comes back because I know how important they are
Yes.
as far as like not just maintaining sobriety, but the companionship and the void that they fill.
Exactly. I mean,
It's unconditional love.
exactly. Abu, he helped me through my withdrawals. I also, had moments with him with my alter ego. Gotcha, Rachel. But I also still, I have Capone, which is John's dog. I'm not a dog person, so I'm not gonna start ratting on dogs. He's great, but we could talk about Jasmine. I've had Jasmine for 14 years, and she has literally seen me like through massively. She saw me before I had my son, so I would be like
If that kitty could talk, what would that cat say to you?
my face. I don't even know. I don't know what that bitch would say, but
I'm curious.
she did the same thing that your dog did. The whole burying when I would cry, I would bury my face into Jasmine and
Yeah,
just understood though.
yeah. Just use exactly, and it's crazy animals have those instincts when they know you're sad, and they're like, "I'm gonna crawl a little closer to my human
Yeah.
because I know they're going through shit." And whenever they would do that, I'd be like, "Oh my god, these animals are just incredible. Like
Yeah.
they know." And mostly most other humans generally don't know unless you tell them or unless you're really obvious. So, but animals, they just sense it, and it's a comfort that you can't replace. And there was there was a topic that you just mentioned. You mentioned something about alter egos. That was something we've been talking about lately. And Ratchet Rachel is an alter ego. So maybe changing the direction a little bit. Can you tell us? You've told a little bit about Ratchet Rachel in the past episodes, but is it hard to transition, like now being more like in this sensitive, vulnerable place you're in right now? Does Ratchet Rachel want to come out in a way when you're frustrated and going through sadness, or how does that work?
Right now, yes. With what I'm going through, and I'm gonna say it publicly that what I'm going through with my cat, yeah, he could be out and being a cat right now, but then there's the other reality of this, that there is somebody out there that possibly hurt my cat physically. Now, I was saying this to you before that I don't know if this is Ratchet Rachel or if this is just natural anger. No, it's not. This is so Ratchet Rachel stemmed from my internal anger. So I still have massive anger because immediately when I got that news that my cat let out a hurt scream while I was out of town and now he's missing. Yeah, Ratchet Rachel, the anger for sure has been inside of me to the point that I'm like, I'm gonna, when this guy gets out of jail, I'm gonna go have a few words with him instead of just have a simple phone call with him or see, like, when he gets out of jail, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Like, no, actually, Ratchet Rachel, you could tame yourself. Mad Rachel, tame yourself. Go handle how you need to handle yourself right now the correct way because anger is not the answer. But Ratchet Rachel stemmed from extreme anger and sadness. And that alter ego came out, and she was very sloppy and she always tried to have fun. But one person said something to her and she will flip a table.
Yep. Totally get it. It seems like now that you're sober almost a year and a half, I feel like you being in this vulnerable, sensitive spot you are now, you seem to have a much bigger grasp on controlling the Ratchet Rachel side. If you were drinking, you probably wouldn't have much control over coming out, right?
No, exactly. And that's why it's like, and I found out in sobriety, like, no brainer though, like, oh, you have an anger problem. Like, I found that out more in sobriety and through therapy because I was finding out who I am too. You don't just find out your hobbies in sobriety, you get to also find out if you have other mental illnesses that you've been ignoring or, anger management or something like that. And yeah, I'm very angry. Found out I have ADHD in sobriety too. I didn't know I had that. But very angry, and that stems down straight to childhood to my mom. So, Rasha Rachel,
How does
she
that
wasn't fun.
how does that stem to your mom? Do you mind me asking, like, why were the anger as a kid? How did that grew into adulthood? Like, were you angry at your mom, or did she express anger and you learned from that, or how'd that work?
Well, my mom was one to always get in people's faces. She's one of 8. My mom was the rebel of her siblings. So, my mom would be, like, the one standing behind, like, the concrete wall in a leather jacket smoking cigarettes at school. Like, my mom was, like, she used to, beat up men. This is stories that I've heard from uncles and aunts. So, no, my mom didn't show that side of her to me. I mean, I did see her and my dad get into fights, and she was pretty aggressive, and I did that to my ex. So maybe that is learned behavior actually now that I'm saying it out loud. But I felt
Yeah.
very neglected growing up because of her. And that's where the anger comes from, being neglected.
And do you think, yeah, no, being neglected in a lot of ways, I think felt neglected in some ways, not because like my parents didn't pay attention to me directly, but I just felt neglected because I felt like a lot of the decisions they made didn't really have my best interest in mind.
Oh, yeah.
So I was always frustrated as a kid in a lot of ways and felt depressed and anxious and like I never knew what decision was going to be made for me next. Am I moving to this town or are they going to marry this person or this or that? And I just always felt like, does anybody care what I think,
That's
But it,
stability right there.
yeah, but I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, exactly. And so in a lot of ways, I like relied on my grandmother who was 3,000 miles away. She was like my rock, my support system for a long time. And may she rest in peace. She lived till she was 105.
Oh,
Like she
shit.
was a
Wow.
saint, So I don't know how she did it. So I hope I get those genetics, even with I guess her way that she was able to live that long was zero alcohol. So I don't know if that's going to work in my favor.
I feel that so hard. I've thought about that so many times. The whole like, I
Yeah, I'm
could have
like,
maybe
what
lived
damage did we
longer.
do?
Yeah. Could have lived longer if I didn't do that. I don't know. I think I aged my face.
But as far as alter ego goes, I never got a cool name like Ratchet Ryan or Rebel Ryan or anything like that. I got but people used to say like when they would ask me if I'm going out that night, they'd always be like, "Are you getting, are you just gonna like drink? Or are you gonna get like RPK drunk, which are like my initials,
Oh,
And I'm
shit.
like, what do you mean? What do you mean by RPK drunk? And they're like, when you're like when it looks like they didn't know I was popping Xannies most of the time, and then when you're like putting your arm around people and like hugging them and like slurring your words and nobody can understand you, and you're falling over and we all have to like put you to bed. I'm like, is that really what I do on a regular basis to get a nickname?
Oh my God.
And then they also say that I'm argumentative and shit talking. I'm trying to fight people. I'm like, what? I don't even think of myself as a fighting type of guy, but apparently I can be a complete dick when I'm drinking.
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
crazy to think of you like that because I can't picture you
I
like
know.
that.
I know. I can't either because I'm usually pretty easygoing, like at heart. So nothing really offends me. So I'm just kind of like, I'm just trying to instigate and get reactions from people
Oh,
would be
fuck.
part of my alter ego.
Oh, God.
And sometimes I can see that come out, but yeah, and that's horrible and annoying. And I'm not proud of it. But apparently that was like something I used to do is like just kind of like make little jabs here and there, try to start shit, see if somebody would react,
Oh, God.
hit on their girlfriend or something like that.
Well,
Stupid
me
things
and
like
you
that.
would have had a ball then, Ratchet Rachel, and
Oh,
oh my
we
God.
would have been great wingmen, just shit talking and getting in fights.
Oh,
And
yeah. I'll be like, "Oh, I'll go make friends with her for you." Like, that's
I've said this to a few people. Let's be glad we didn't meet when we were drinking.
yeah, no, Ratchet Rachel was just like she was just always on a fucking stupid ass mission for no reason. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go take 4 shots, and then after that, if I black out, I black out. Good time, right? Like, nobody invited me to go drinking ever. They didn't want to have fun with me. Like, I wasn't a good time. And you know what influenced me? Jersey Shore. So that was my show growing up in high school. So I mean, maybe that.
I love that show. Cabsy here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
I was
my celebrity
nicknamed
crush.
Paulie D my senior year of college.
That's crazy. That's my
My
celebrity
senior
crush.
year of college, they nicknamed me Paulie D. Oh yeah, no, I had like much more spiky hair at the time and had like the cold fade. I didn't like spend like 3 hours on it like he did, but
Yeah.
people used to be like, "You're our Paulie D in our friend group." I'm like, is that a compliment? I think so. I hope. I
Oh
hope it
gosh.
is,
I mean, I got
because
the
everybody used to
whole
make fun of that stuff.
I could say out of the cast members to describe Ratchet Rachel, and this is funny as hell, but not really, I guess, would be a good combo of Snooki and JWoww, literally as a person. That was Ratchet Rachel. So if you could like
Yeah.
picture a sloppy little short girl falling over and being silly and dancing all the time, but then a flip switching and beating the shit out of people. That was Ratchet
Jeez.
Rachel.
Oh my gosh. So like, did you ever like get in fights with primarily women, or were there guys you would like want to scrap with, or was it just anyone?
I loved hitting a man in the face at a bar for no reason. Like for no fucking reason.
Damn.
I thought it made me look so I'm trying to tap into the inner Ratchet Rachel right now. So if a guy said something slick to me and made me feel controlled, which I don't like now, sober, I don't like being controlled. You can't tell me what to do. If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it type shit. If a man did it and I took it as a male chauvinistic sound or look, I will snuff him, right hook him right in the face, like at a bar. I did not care. I didn't care. Like I took the whole male chauvinistic thing, I think, a little too far. Ratchet Rachel did. That's probably why I hit men more than women.
Jesus. So looking at our alter egos, I'm picturing, hypothetically speaking, if my drunk ass went into a bar and I was in shit talk mode, you came into the bar and you were in Ratchet Rachel mode, basically you'd be whooping my ass.
Possibly because
Pretty much.
possibly. I mean, I did not like somebody just being, I don't know, or even it could be as simple as telling me where you're done drinking. Taking my alcohol away was a big no. Ratchet Rachel, that was a for sure
Yep.
thing that was going to happen. Do not tell Ratchet. Basically, telling Rachel no in general makes me upset. I know that sounds spoiled as fuck, but like if you tell me no and I want to do something, I'm gonna fucking do it. So Ratchet Rachel,
So
Rat-
So Ratchet Rachel's at the bar. She's lining up another shot. You say, "Hey, Rachel, maybe you've had enough." You would just snap.
I'd be like, fuck you, I'm taking it anyway. And if that person continued, yeah, it could turn into me taking that shot and whatever shot's next to it, I'm gonna pretend I'm grabbing it and handing it to you, but no, I'm throwing it in your face. It was really, she was really
Jesus,
out of line.
sound like a hybrid of Snooki and JWoww or something like that, where
Literally
could
though.
whoop some ass, but also be a shit talk.
Literally though, and I have to say though, it put me in so many situations that I could have got punched back by a man. So that only happened one time, and ironically, it did not happen when I was drunk. So
Interesting.
yeah,
So, dude actually did just like decide to punch back, and you were probably like hella caught off guard.
well, no man actually ever punched me back that I was hitting. I was in an abusive relationship before John, and I got hit by that man, and I wasn't drunk when that happened, ironically. But I didn't stay with him because he was male chauvinistic and he was trying to control me. And he didn't like that, so he punched me in the face. But I'm okay now. I mean, that was almost a
Jesus.
decade ago. But Yeah, getting punched in the face by a man as a woman, don't recommend. That's a 0. Negatives,
That's
like, that's a very, very low number out of 10. Don't do that. Don't hit
yeah,
purposely.
it's got to be scary. Like domestic violence in relationships is scary as it is. I mean, I've been hit quite a bit from various women throughout my life, and some of them sometimes I would justify their actions because I feel like when I was in the toxic relationship, I had the ability to talk a lot of shit, sober or drinking. So sometimes I'd be like, well, I kind of earned that one or whatever, but like, I never thought to actually hit back because I don't know. I just thought like, if I landed a punch on a girl, I would feel horrible for one thing. And the other thing, it's like I don't know, as far as like
Yeah.
physical stuff, I just was able to maintain my control. But as far as with my words, could be really, really bad with my words.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes I think verbal abuse is almost just as bad.
Oh, yeah. I was a combo of both. So, I was a combo of both.
But yeah, let's be glad that we don't have those alter egos anymore. Like
Mm-mm.
in sobriety, we both have a lot more self control. I mean, with all the stuff you have going on right now with your cat and, having the grief of your loss lately, and you're still able to maintain a good attitude and also like express your emotions on the show and stuff, that just shows like clearly you've grown a lot further apart from Ratchet Rachel than you're giving yourself credit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
And
feel
a lot of people.
thank you. We won't know unless Abu appears. So the Ratchet Rachel, the anger inside of me, it's there, but I will not let her unleash. It's not worth it. It's not going to solve anything. It won't bring him back. And the person, if he did harm my cat, he's mentally not well himself and needs to get help.
Exactly. I know. And sometimes it's hard for us to like actually know what kind of people we're letting into our personal lives,
Yeah.
house sitting and stuff like that. It's like you can't trust everybody, but we want to trust people. And then we find out later that they're a piece of shit. And same thing when it comes to friendships and relationships, you just start to like, it's just one of those things that we can't control. So it just means we have to open our eyes even more. And then it affects our trust towards people in the future. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because now it's like, now you're going to be doing background checks before you have a house sitter again.
Literally though, like back, like literally we will hire professionals. And, I'm upset with not at John, but I'm upset about the situation that, yeah, like I could sit here for days and be like, well, John said this guy's a good guy and allowed him in the house. But like, wait a second.
Yeah. Why does it say heads up, Rachel? Yeah, no, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's can't trust anyone. Yeah, I always just board my dog at the same place for years. And as far as I know, they take great care of him and they send me pictures of him and all that. But I also live in a smaller town with like, if somebody does something wrong like that, like,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
yeah, no, just, like I live in a small town, so I always go to the same boarding people all the time. And, people can't mess up in small towns because if they do something stupid like or crazy like the guy that house sat for you or whatever, then their reputation is screwed forever. So it's a little easier to trust some people over here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like I said, like, I mean, I could put the blame on my fiance all I fucking want, but no, like I also allowed this man in my home and didn't do a background check. And, and I have my 14-year-old cat. Like, yes, this possibly happened to Abu, but Jasmine, my 14-year-old baby, like all of and then we got Capone, like, and not even just forget my animals, like, just my home in general. Like, we have to change the locks now because we don't know this guy well enough. And I didn't take the steps that I needed to, but I just hope that this person gets help regardless. Because I'm pretty sure he was drinking that night that he came to see my pets. I was told that he was at the bar prior to coming to my house. So, which was unnecessary. He didn't need to come to my house in the middle of the night. So I don't know if he was blacked out when he hurt my cat, if he hurt my cat.
Which is like another thing. Like you think about the fact that we're kind of analyzing the fact that he's at a bar or that he was drinking like when you let him come over to your house and he might have been drinking at your house. And it's like we as former alcoholics almost get to the point where we know the behaviors so much, the negligent behaviors, the erratic behaviors, because we were alcoholics, And then we
Yeah.
start to analyze it, and other people we let into our lives, we're like, well, they're an alcoholic, so they might be capable of these things. I mean, it's kind of scary.
Literally. Yeah, my mind immediately, and I didn't wanna say it about him, my mind immediately, though, when I heard Abu got out, I was like, "All right, well, maybe he got out. It's storming in Florida. He'll be back." And then, like, now it's a few days in and he's not back. And the reality of it is sinking in that, wait a second, I think he's hurt. And I had the sixth sense of it. And then my neighbor randomly goes off and tells me that this morning she heard, you know, Abu scream from the inside of her apartment through my apartment. So, yeah,
Jesus, that's so
like,
frightening.
it's frightening as hell, and it sucks that I'm in this situation and that my baby is possibly gone or hurt, or maybe he's just on a Zelda little adventure right now. I don't know, I hope. But it makes me sad because I was not in a place of darkness where I would murder somebody, but we both were in such dark places where we were just using to make ourselves feel better. And this person told me they had an anxiety disorder. So he's anxious, so he thinks he's curing his anxiety by getting drunk. And you're not, because you're in jail right now. But, and ironically, he was at the bar that I used to go to.
Yep, it's the same old stomping grounds, and then you just know, like, was it like a divey bar or something like that? Just one of those places?
It used to be
I
a
used to be a
divey
dive
bar.
bar guy.
Well, I love dive bars,
Now
but
it's all bougie.
now I wouldn't say it's bougie. They did major beautiful renovations to it actually. So they did a huge come up, but it used to be actually a dive bar. But huge come up. It's actually a restaurant too, but it's more of a bar at nighttime and on the weekends. So they got pool tables on one half of it, and he goes there, and I'm pretty sure he got hammered because he was at my house around 1:30 when the situation happened in the morning. And like you said, I didn't even
Jesus.
think about it,
Yeah.
maybe drinking on my fucking couch.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, a lot of it's speculation, but just seeing, like, all of a sudden he's coincidentally getting arrested for other charges, you start to really question the guy. So,
Yeah, something violent too.
yeah, so we're hoping that the outcome is really good and that the cat is just on some little kitty adventure and he's gonna come back.
I
So,
hope.
praying for Abu.
He is so
Let's hope
motherfucking
so.
grounded.
But, yeah, this episode definitely, like, really goes over the topics of how difficult it is to get all these surprising situations in front of us when we are just trying to stay sober, whatever length of time, and we have to overcome these obstacles and stay focused and stay positive. And one of the ways you're doing it is talking about it, expressing it, opening it up to the public right now, and I hope that's helping you. And
Yeah.
that's that'll motivate me to open up in the future to our listeners to, like, talk more about stuff going on, because I internalize everything, and I probably wouldn't even talk to my closest friend about it for months until it drives me nuts. But
Yeah.
now with this, like, this platform, we can talk about it, and other
Yeah.
people might relate to some of these issues because there's people going through stuff right now, and they're more than welcome to reach out to
Yes.
either of us, I think. So,
Yes, literally, please do.
yeah.
Like, you're not a bother ever. But it's just, to me now, looking back at my drinking career and using that to help me through challenging events like grieving and losing my mother-in-law. I lost somebody that was like a mom, my 8th grade reading teacher. I lost her in sobriety too. Did not drink for it or through it. It didn't There was no reason to drink because grieving, you need to allow yourself to feel those spiral emotions, because drinking is just gonna numb it, and then you're gonna have to clean up the mess years later in therapy like we are.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the long-term effects, they wear on us, So, and you're in therapy and you said you're going through EMDR, which I still don't have any idea what that's about, but it sounds like it's everybody who talks about it seems like it's helping them. So,
Well,
what does that even stand
EMDR,
for?
I actually normally know. Why am I blanking out? EMDR. You're gonna have to edit this because I don't remember. And I'm doing it. And it's not electro anything because there's no
It's
electric one.
eye movement
Yeah.
desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes. So
Okay.
what it does is I did say this before, but it makes you tap into your trauma. So it will take like, I'm going to give a snippet because I don't want to go too much into personal detail, but I'll say something about my own mom and childhood going back into neglect. It takes me back into a closet that I used to hide in as a little girl, rocking back and forth, crying for my mom. Your therapist will take you back to moments like that and you have to relive shit, but it helps in a weird way, and I'm not really sure what it does, but it helps you. You have to relive your trauma, and I had to do that because I drank for so long and didn't actually allow myself to process it, so
Yeah. I I have to look into it if and when I go back to therapy, which is a plan of mine. I want to ask about it and see if it actually helps because I know I hear a lot about childhood trauma and EMDR, and I'm curious of how much of that I'm still suffering from. I need to like address and work on. So something
yeah.
I need to do. I think that's why I have trouble expressing emotions because I think when I was a kid, I was so freaking sensitive and I cried so often. Like you hardly had to say shit to like make me run into a corner and cry. Like I
Wow.
wasn't even bullied as a kid, but I would almost take some of the most simple things as like somebody looking at me wrong or talking down to me as like a threat, and I would run.
Aw,
And that's how I was as a kid. I don't know why, but and then when I grew up, I just became very stiff and unemotional, you know? So I have
I get
definitely a lot
that.
to address.
I get that, I mean,
Yeah.
that happened to me in sobriety. I mean, drinking made me cry a lot, so now that I don't drink anymore, I don't have as much reason to cry, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
But the fact that you are openly crying today, you know, regarding what's going on with like your cat and everything, I mean, that just says a lot about you that you're so comfortable with your emotions now and so in tune with them. That's really good.
yeah, I mean, it went from, like, ratchet Rachel to, like, really emotional Rachel. Like, that's what so you feel your emotions, like,
But you're
I
not
have
using
anger.
anger.
Yeah, I'm working on
Yeah.
anger, but I'm not, like, reacting in a violent, nasty way, like, I'm big on the gym, I've been slacking a little because 'cause I've been very busy the past week and stuff like that. That's not really a full excuse for myself, though, but it's been almost a week since
Yeah.
I've been to the gym, so I need to handle that, like, regardless of my cat being gone right now, like, going to the gym and moving my body really helps me with my emotions.
Yeah. Me too. It's just yeah, when I get that like endorphins high or whatever, I'm like, okay, there's my drug. Now I'm
Yeah.
good. And we'll talk more about our alter egos. We'll talk more about how we deal with how we cope with things sober and various topics. And we also want to hear from our listeners. Feel free to DM us on Instagram at Real Talk with Rachie or Rock Bottom with Ryan and give us topics you want us to talk about. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.
It's
Kinda,
like it's
yeah,
usually after like 15 minutes of running.
oh gosh.
15 minutes of running and I got that high and I'm like, hell yeah.
I wish I liked running, I really do. I tried that too in sobriety, and I just couldn't get into it.
I don't know. I used to be all about weightlifting, hardcore weightlifting, and less cardio, and now I'm into more cardio, less weightlifting. Ever since I got sober, I don't know why, but I like doing push-ups and dumbbells and stuff. But I get my high from running. But running in the fake tanning bed, I'm guilty. I fake tan
I'm
sometimes.
so dead. That is very Jersey Shore Pauly D of you.
I know.
I've
I
never
gotta
been
do
in
what I
a
gotta
tanning
do
bed.
to, not. But like I don't know why it's maybe the vitamin D feeling or something. But like I walk out feeling better, so it's not just to look like Pauly D. It's definitely for mental reasons as well.
Well, that
So
makes sense.
I'm
I'm
glad
over
we're
here
doing what
in
we can
Florida.
though.
I live in
Yeah, you're in
Florida, so
Florida. That humidity was unbearable. I have to say for me because I wasn't used to it, like walking out and being sticky and stuff.